Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sales Success with Lixxy, where we are passionate about helping you transform the sales in your business so you are always fully booked. Today, we are going to be joined by Debbie Pomerantz, who is a digital business development and marketing coach. Debbie's on a mission to help people uncover the sweet spot where their passions, knowledge, and experiences collide with profit. And today, we are going to be talking about audiences and the power of your audience and how to connect with them. Let's get into it. Debbie, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Debbie Pomerantz. I'm a digital business and marketing coach. And so what does that mean, right? First of all, the name of my business is under construction. And my role is to help people build their businesses literally from the foundation up. So my background is in marketing. I spent 20 years plus in corporate marketing in the entertainment industry. And I got laid off about 2 years ago. And I sat down and thought about all of my skills. And I realized I did not want to go back into the corporate world. And I had already been helping some friends on the side build their digital footprints. And I thought about the things that I love to do and realized that I really wanted to help people build their digital businesses in a sustainable way and based on their passions and experiences and knowledge, because I really believe that that everyone has knowledge that is monetizable. Really, it's about packaging and marketing, and that's where I come in. And so that's what I do. And so I have clients who come to me who I have a gardener and I have a mobile dentist and I have a fertility doctor, and they want to build their businesses online. Many of them obviously already have businesses in real life, and that's what I help them do.
I love that. Thank you so much. So there's obviously a wide variety of things that you do when you're helping a business owner, but the thing that we're going to talk specifically about today is the audience that you have as an online business owner and what that means for your business.
And it's my most favorite thing because I really believe that understanding your audience is the ultimate foundation for your business and also, quite frankly, for life, if you want to be successful, right? And in life, we call it EQ, right? Your emotional IQ, essentially, and how you understand people. And the way we understand people helps us understand how to speak to them, right? So when we talk about marketing and sales, ultimately, because we are all in business to sell things, who we are talking to makes an impact on how we are talking to them, right? So if we talk about very basics, we talk about generations, right? The different generations, the boomers versus Gen X versus Gen Z versus millennials, et cetera. All of those groups, which are obviously very large groups, have different needs and desires and ways that they react to things. And in order to speak to those people in a way that resonates and to sell to them, you need to understand what those pieces are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important thing for everyone that's got an online business to think about. And I don't think it's something that the majority of owners do before they kind of start attempting to sell.
Correct. And it actually kills me when people come to me, and I get a lot of people obviously who are like, I have this great content and it's just not working. And it's not working because they haven't done the research to really figure out who their audience is, right? And, we struggle to connect and grow, and understanding our audience and uncovering not only just their surface level demographics, but really their deeper motivations and core desires is really going to help everyone build deeper trust, engagement, and long-term success. And at the end of the day, we all know it's about, people buy from people they trust, like, and know, and understanding your audience at a very deep level is going to make everything easier for you.
And how do we, as the business owners, how do we go about learning more about our audience? What can we be doing to get to know them?
Yeah. And there are so many great ways to do this. And again, you have to do the work, right? So there's no everybody online, right? You spend 10 minutes online, you see everybody's looking for the shortcuts. How do I do this easily? You don't do it easily. The steps in general, when you think about digital marketing, are simple, but it is not easy work, and you have to do the work to be successful. So I have a 3-layer premise, which is surface, deeper, and core, right? So this is the framework that I use. And surface is obviously the most obvious or kind of superficial aspects, like demographics, right? Where do people live in the country? What country do they live in? What is their gender? How old are they, right? What might they be doing for work? All those kind of very basic surface level pieces of information that you can find out about someone. And honestly, that if you have enough followers, you can find out from Instagram, right? They give you that information. That's the thing. So much of this information is available to you with the platforms that you use, and people just aren't using it. So the first level is what I call surface. This second level is deeper, right? It's the middle level, and it's much more nuanced, and it's an understanding or emotional connection. So motivations, pain points. Everybody talks about what are my audience's pain points. I'm not mocking that. You absolutely need to understand that. And that is part of this deeper level, right? What motivates them? What are their desires, right? And then the core, which is the last level, is really like the essence, right? The underlying truth or driving force. What's their purpose? What are their values? What are their fundamental needs? And those are kind of the three layers that if you understand those three layers, you will be able to speak to your audience so beautifully. So to your, I'll just keep talking if you want me to. So to your question about like, how do we find these people, right? There are so many tools that you can use to get there. So that surface layer, that first layer that I talked about, demographics, right? So again, if you already have 100 followers on Instagram and Facebook, you can find out their age, their location, their gender, right? These are just the basics, right? And if you are starting from scratch, this is a rule I tell to everybody, always. If you're starting from scratch or like down your journey, go where your people are, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously you have an idea of what you want to sell. You have an idea of who these people might be. Join some Facebook groups. Facebook is a gold mine in so many ways. Join Facebook groups in your niche and ask people to respond to a survey, right? This is a great way to gauge, first of all, product interest and also get all of that information about who they are. Right? If you already have a substantial amount of followers, you can use the poll feature on stories to ask questions. You have people, you have respondents, right? I in my corporate life, I did a tremendous amount of survey work, right? You have respondents that you can ask questions of sitting there waiting for you, right? Ask questions like, where are you based? To get more specific geographic information. What's your profession? Understand what they do for a living, right? These seem very, very simple, and maybe why do I need to understand this? But you need to understand it because you need to create a full picture in your mind of who your audience is. So that's the first layer, right? The second layer, which is this motivation and fears. How do we uncover what's really driving our audience, right? What are their challenges and their goals and their obstacles? Really, this will help you understand for your ideal customers how your product is really going to help them, which you need to understand when you're creating messaging, right? What are their challenges and what is the solution that you're going to offer? So really doing the work here is going to lay your foundation for your entire business, and that is not a joke at all. So again, do your research, and here are some great ways to learn this about your customer. I love this. So chances are what you're doing, what you've decided to create has already been created. Right? Very few ideas are really original. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. You should absolutely do it because what's going to make it unique is your voice, right? So go on Amazon, read customer reviews. I bet that there are people on Amazon who are selling books, right? That have to do with whatever you want to put out there. Go read customer reviews, see what they're saying, see if they're asking questions, see what kind of comments they're making. The other thing you can do, go on competitors' websites, right? So on websites, I'm not talking about a stand store, I'm talking about an actual website where you can go on a website and see comments and reviews, right? Do that, right? Again, chances are your product is not the only one of its kind. Again, what will make it different is your voice, but use the other products that are already out there to do it better. Right? So go look at the other products, make sure you know about what your competition is doing. The second thing you can do, again, I use this all the time. I used it yesterday, like for 3 hours, Reddit and Quora. Reddit is just like, I mean, you could spend days on Reddit, seriously, but you go into Reddit, there are subgroups for everything, right? If you're thinking about a product and you, for instance, this is a great example. I have a doctor. He's a male fertility doctor, right? So he works very specifically with men who have fertility problems, couples who are having trouble having kids, but it's because of the man, right? So he works very closely with men. One of the things I was talking to him about when we talked about his digital footprint, would he ever think about doing support groups? And his comment was, well, I would, but lots of men don't want to talk about this. I also happen to have another client who is going through male fertility. And I know that he would love to be in a support group. So I had these two kind of different clients coming at from different perspectives. So I went on Reddit to see what was really going on around this. And the truth is, I found one group that had like 10,000 people in it, which when you think about it is a tiny, tiny, tiny amount, right? So that is either, oh, there's an opportunity, or yes, people really don't want to talk about it. But I got that answer from Reddit, right? And then I could go into Reddit and look at what people are talking about. So I can go back to my fertility doctor client and say, yes, there's only 10,000 people in there, but here's what they're talking about. So let's think about those topics when we're thinking about the types of things that you want to be posting. There's so much information in there. You can go into Quora and ask a ton of questions. You go into Reddit and ask a ton of questions. Use those people as your respondent base, right? As your survey base. And again, Facebook groups, goldmine for everything, right? So go in there and ask questions. Find your people there always.
I love that. They're such easy things to do, but not things that we would often think of doing.
Right.
I think the kind of takeaway from it is to go and research your audience, research your people. If you don't have an audience at all yet, then start with places like Reddit and Quora, where your ideal client there's going to be hanging out in there somewhere. And if you have an audience, talk to them. I think one of my favorite things about social media is like the lack of sociability. We quite often will silent scroll, or we'll post something and hope that people respond, but we don't do enough to encourage the interaction between ourselves and the audience that we're posting to. Like I quite often, I'll be speaking to some of my clients and I'll be saying like, okay, have you like DM'd the people that followed you? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, they followed you for a reason. Go and talk to them. Like, go and make conversation and ask them questions and find out what makes them tick and why they followed you. Because if they've followed you because they like the thing that you did, we want to know that so that we can do more of it.
Exactly. And so that idea of asking questions is so important. And even if you're not somebody who wants to DM, right, someone follows you and you don't want to DM them because you feel like it's bothering them or whatever that is, what if anybody who comments on anything that you've done, don't just respond with a thanks, respond with a question. Right? To your point, engage them in conversation. And then when you've started to do that, you can ask them very specific questions. Hey, you responded to this. I would love to know what really resonated with it about you. How's your journey going? Whatever verbiage you want to use, right? Start engaging them in conversation. Super, super, super important. Again, I think, and you know what? I'm guilty of this sometimes as well, right? When I was first building on all my platforms, you do so much engagement, right? Because you know that that's the way people are going to remain part of your audience and get other followers. And I noticed that as I got more followers and I would start posting, especially on Facebook, I would start posting and I wouldn't necessarily spend so much time engaging. And I have to remind myself occasionally to get back in there. You have to keep doing that. It is so important. Everything we're doing is about connection. So the more we understand and the more we engage with people, the more successful we will be. That is the truth. Again, if you are feeling like your business is not successful for whatever reason, the first place you should look is at yourself and say, what am I doing to understand and engage my audience? Am I doing the things I should be doing? Do I really understand who they are? I had an account that had like 2,600 people on it on Instagram. I had 2,600 followers. I deactivated the account because I knew based on everything I was posting and the type of engagement I was getting and how people were responding or not responding, quite frankly, that those were not the people that I wanted to be talking to. So I deactivated the account and I said on the account, I'm deactivating this account. I'm going over here. Anybody who's really following me for these reasons, please follow me over there. Like, you have to understand your audience.
I love that. That's such a great way of doing that as well. Like, don't hold on to the audience just because they're there. Like, if they're not the right people, like, I love an unfollow. Like, if I've posted some stuff and it's made people unfollow me, I'm counting that as a win because I only want an audience full of my ideal clients. So if I've posted things that you didn't like or didn't resonate with you and you've unfollowed me, then I'm celebrating that as a win because you've removed yourself from the audience, which means that there's less people in that audience now that want to work, that don't want to work with me.
Correct. That is correct. I mean, trust me, it killed me to let go of that, to let go of off those people, but like in my heart, I knew that they were not my people. And that's it. That idea of, I think the holy grail for all of us is our ideal dream magical audience, right? Of course, that is what we all want. And we're not always going to get a full audience of all those people. But again, I can't say this enough. The more we understand in our heads what those people really look like, the better off we'll be. And also, I will say, you might have 3 different segments, right? Like you might have 3 different audiences of people that you want to be reaching with the same account, right? So for instance, when we talk about demographics, which is again, a very basic, but something that we really have to understand, especially if we are looking to reach, let's say, a wide range of, let's just focus on women for a second, a wide range of women, right? So I want to be reaching women who are 18 to 54. That is not only just a huge number of people, but such a wide and diverse range of people in terms of their interests and their desires and how they react to things, right? Those are literally 3 different generations. And you have to understand all 3 of those generations to understand how you need to change your messaging and what you're offering in order to reach each of those different groups.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different, and also the different ways that people consume content as well is different.
Oh my God.
You've got the 4 different learning styles that come into play when you're consuming content. So some people like to read a lot more, other people prefer visuals, and it's those sort of things that you need to understand about your audience so that you're putting out the right content. Like if you're solely putting out carousels, for example, with loads of writing on them, the reason that you aren't getting engagement on them could be because your audience only likes seeing your face and wants to hear you talking, as opposed to having to read loads of information. And it's that sort of knowledge that really helps you kind of tap into your audience and what they want.
Correct. Or, the boomer generation, for example, anybody who's 61, I think 61 or 62 or above, if you want to be targeting that group of people, they will watch short form video, but they'll watch longer short form video, right? So those people are really going to are really going to resonate with the longer videos you might post on Facebook, right? Versus the 10 or 15 or even 30-second videos that might be on Instagram. And by the way, there are a ton of boomers on Instagram, which I know people don't think is true, but we have data that boomers are the fastest growing generation on Instagram, which is crazy.
I love that.
Everybody should keep that in mind.
I think it's really important though. And I think as well, like you just said, like picking the place where you have an audience based on their trends. That's what I was looking for.
Yes,
so,
where they live.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, do you know that the specific group of people that you're targeting, do they sit on Facebook, or is it Instagram where they're hanging out, or is it TikTok? Like, depending on, because like quite often we'll pick a platform because it's the one that we like, and that's great if your ideal client is an exact clone of you. But if it's not, then we need to be picking the platforms based on our audience and not based on our own preference.
100%. I think, a platform like Lemonade is a perfect example of that. Are you familiar with Lemonade?
I've heard of it, never used it.
Yeah. So I tried to use it for like 3 weeks, I think. And I got on that platform and I'm telling you, I felt so old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like my people were not on that platform, and either as users or as people who were putting content out. Either way, I got off very quickly because it just was not working. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't working for me. But like to your point, we have to understand where people are. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So this third layer that I talked about is, desires and decision-making triggers. What are the emotional drivers really that are going to make people purchase, right? Or consume your content even. And this is really what motivates your audience the most, and what motivates them to buy. So the areas in this case that we really want to be exploring are emotional triggers like trust, right? Or is it fear of missing out? Or is it aspirational? What kind of content, what do your hooks need to say in order to bring these specific people in? What outcomes they want the most? Is it success? Is it recognition? Is it freedom? And how are they making decisions, right? What builds their trust? Do they need proof, right? Or do they act on impulse? So one of the things that I talk about is data, right? Specifically Instagram analytics. And I think too many people don't bother tracking analytics, or they look at just kind of the vanity metrics like followers and likes, right? As we know, you can make a lot of sales with a very small group of followers. The idea of having a lot of followers does not necessarily mean you're going to be very successful. So those are it makes you feel good to know you have a lot of followers, but that doesn't necessarily equate to sales. But things like saves and shares is going to tell you what kind of content is resonating with your consumers. And so to really look at that and isolate, and one of the exercises I take my clients through is I have them go find 5 videos in other niches, right? Study them and analyze why they think they worked and look at what the differences and what the similarities are. Right. And being able to do that, to kind of take apart a video that is doing well and really understand what worked about it, is a skill, obviously, but also will really help you in understand what's working in general. Because if you're looking at videos that did well in 5 different niches and there are similarities between them, well, guess what? That similarity is going to work in any niche. And those people knew it, and that's why they did it. So studying the reels that are doing really well, even if you only do it once a month, is really beneficial and will help your content do better than it has been. So you take 5 viral reels from different niches and really study them. That's really going to help you.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like the ability to look at our competition, I think, is a great thing to do, because like obviously don't copy exactly what they're doing, but taking inspiration from what they've done absolutely is a necessary thing. All of the big companies do it, and it's something that we as small business owners, I think, forget is a tool that we can use. Like if they like you said, if we've got a competitor who's doing similar things, and then there are lots of competitors doing similar things to us, and they are all posting the same type of thing, and it's doing really well, then yeah, like you say, the strong chance is that if we post a similar type of content, then it's also going to do really well, because obviously the audience is picking it up.
Correct. That's exactly right. And then there are also so many tools, again, that will help you. There are keyword tools like Answer the Public and Uber Suggest, which will help you understand how people are asking questions about certain topics and what they're looking for. There's also Perplexity, which is a really great, relatively new AI tool that will scour the internet for your answers, which is super cool. So again, there is no reason that anybody should be struggling through any of this. It's time, right? And everybody's in that mentality that, oh, that person did it overnight, so I need to do it overnight also. Guess what? That person didn't do it overnight. When people talk that way, there's so much of the story that is missing, like they've been doing this for years and started a new account or whatever it is, right? Put your blinders on, focus on yourself. Think about how you did yesterday versus how you're doing today. Try and move your business forward by 1% every single day and do the work. And I promise, if you do the work, the success will come for you. And understanding your audience is the very, very first piece of that. It is literally your foundation. And so then if you've got these 3 pieces, right, you've really got the opportunity to build a very substantial audience profile. You've got, the demographics, and you've got your motivations, and you've got your desires, your emotional drivers. So once you have all that, you build, literally write out the picture of who your audience is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where we need to take the time out to do it, which can feel counterintuitive, taking the time away from what you're doing every day to do this work. But it will help you jump steps. Like, you'll be more successful. Take a couple of days out, maybe, or 1 day a month or whatever, to continually do this research, so that the work that you're doing has a higher impact, because you know that it's speaking to the audience that you want to be working with.
Exactly. And what you just said, Lix, is exactly what people should be doing, right? Block your time. People should be doing this anyways. Spend a day doing research on your audience. Spend a day creating content. Spend every single day of your calendar should be marked out for something different. Like that is the best way to move your business forward and feel productive, honestly. And that isn't to say, oh, I'm only supposed to be working on my audience today. I can't work on anything else. I'm not saying that at all. But I find, and it has really helped my clients, that when they have structure, it makes a big difference. And it's so hard. Like I know for me, when I started working for myself, I'm somebody who thrives on structure. So to have to create that for yourself can be super, super challenging, right? But it's really helpful if every night before I close my computer, I have a to-do list for the next day. And I take those top 3 things in the morning and I put them in front of my computer on my wall so that I see them all day. And I make sure that if nothing else, I get those 3 things done. You need to create structure for yourself. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I do the exact same thing. I have my daily big 3. It's the 3 things that have to get done every day. Even if I do nothing else, those 3 things get done. But yeah, blocking out your time is the I think most underutilized productivity tool. I think if we can use it, because we as business owners, we don't want to work 24/7, which means that you have only got a certain number of hours in your business that you're going to be working on delivering client results or marketing. That's the kind of 2 main areas of business that we should be focusing on. And if you don't plan out when you're doing the marketing activities and the research is included in that, then you're probably never going to get to it because you'll be so focused on delivering client results that you'll end up running out of time every week and then you'll never get it done.
Correct. Work smarter, not harder. It's cliche, but it's so true.
Absolutely. So if we've got people listening who feel like they're not yet connected to their audience, what's kind of the first couple of steps that they can take today to go and improve that?
I would say mentally tell yourself you're starting from scratch and that it's okay, and start over and start with that base level, right? Sit down with a piece of paper and write out what you think you know about your audience demographics, the easy pieces. What is their gender? What is their age, right? What do you think they do for a living? And then confirm that that might be true. And again, if you don't have the audience to ask those questions of, go find your niche in a Facebook group and ask them, right? There's so many ways to do it. Start from scratch. That's what I would say. And I know that feels like, oh, I don't want to do that. But I'm telling you, and I know that you agree, Lex, if you do that, things are going to move much faster. You're not going to be so frustrated down the line. And we've all been there. Oh my God, we've all been there. Look, you and I can talk from all the mistakes that we've made, right?
Absolutely.
So we want the people who are just starting out or the people who are struggling to learn from us and to be able to not make the same mistakes that we made.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it can feel, I think it's one of the most common themes, I think, of all the podcast episodes I've done is that changing something in your business can feel like you've done something wrong or that you failed, in inverted commas. But that's absolutely not the case. I think the great thing about having a business is that you can change things, and that as you learn and grow, your business can learn and grow as well. And it might be that your audience before you were connected to them, but what you want to teach has changed, and therefore your audience needs to change with you. And that's a perfectly amazing thing for you to do. And I think we just need to remember that as business owners, that change is good. And the reason that we've got a business and we're not working for someone else is because we want that control and we want to be able to do the things we want to do.
Correct. And that's exactly why the name of my business is Under Construction, because we are, thank you, as people and in our business, we need to be constantly evolving. If we are not constantly evolving, we need to be flexible and be able to change and grow and learn. Like that is the best thing I feel like about being a solopreneur, right? The learning, like there's so much to learn. And obviously I love that. But moving forward as we learn, and I will say something else, all of this, yes, feels like a lot of work, but in the theme of working smarter, not harder, if you are not using ChatGPT in your life right now, you are so far behind, and I'm not kidding. And everything we just went through, there's a GPT for it. There is. So I'm not here to sell, but I have a guide. And in my guide, my audience guide, it walks you through everything I just went through. And at the end, as a bonus, I give you a ChatGPT prompt, which will literally all of that work I just outlined for you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we'll put your thing in the show notes so that people can get
all
that.
of that exists. Like, it's just there are like so many tools to help you. There is no reason anyone should be struggling or suffering with this kind of work at all.
Yeah, and also like ask for help if you've got a coach or you want to work with a coach, somebody that can guide you on this.
Yes.
That's the reason for coaching to exist, so that you
Yes.
can get to the place that you want to go without so many pitfalls and at quicker speed.
Correct. And listen, one of the things I talk about all the time is helping people find their intersection of purpose and profit. And that is not about what is your purpose in life. It's about creating work that can be purposeful for you. My intersection is helping people. I love to help people grow. I am so fulfilled by playing even a tiny role in somebody's success. Get in touch with me. I will give you my time and sit on the phone with you for 30 minutes or an hour for free and help you work through whatever you need to work through. Like, that is the truth.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so nice chatting to you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. My 3 key takeaways from today would be to get to know your audience. So if you at the moment don't feel like you're speaking to your audience on a daily basis, then do some things so that you can get to know them and be more interactive with them. So whether that's messaging them directly or putting up more interactive content that they can comment on or engage with, whether it's polls or stickers or what have you, but do something so that you can begin conversations with the people in your audience and really get to know them. My second takeaway would be to do your research. So if you feel like you're disconnected from your audience, go and run focus groups or look at Reddit or Quora and ask questions about your field and your niche so that you can understand what people are talking about and how you can better serve the people that you want to work with. And my third takeaway would be to not feel disheartened if you do feel like you're not connecting correctly with your audience, and to give yourself permission to go back and do the work. Just because you're not connected with them right now doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, doesn't mean that your content's not great. It just means that there's something missing, and it is a very good idea as a business owner to go back and look at what that might be. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.